Hi everybody from TechnoLost and welcome to the video review of the Sony Xperia V. First of all, I want to thank Sony Italy for this Sony Xperia V we have for our review. Well, we already saw many dedicated focus on this device. We saw the performance focus, the multimedia focus and the gaming focus on this Sony Xperia V. Now it's time to sum up everything and see what this Xperia V has to offer. So let's recap the hardware specs. First of all, we have this the CPU inside the Sony Xperia V, which is the dual-core Snapdragon S4 family. It's the dual-core CPU clocked at 1.5 GHz. We have a FAB service of 28 nanometers. We have the GPU, which is the Adreno 225, and 1 GB of RAM. The display size is 4.3 inches at the resolution of 720p. So the pixel density is more or less 346 pixels per inch. Quite a high pixel density if you consider that the Retina display of the iPhone 4, 4S and iPhone 5 has more or less 326 pixels per inch. Then we have the IP55 and IP57 certification, which means that this device can resist against water and dust, which is really interesting. And we have the LTE connectivity, which means we can download up to 100 megabit in download speed and upload at 50 megabit per second. Then we have the camera, which is the 13 megapixel Eximor R sensor with an aperture size of f2.4, which is not bad if you consider that the Galaxy S3, for instance, has 2.6, while the HTC One X both has 2.0. The iPhone 4S and the iPhone 5 both have 2.4, like this Sony Xperia V. So we recapped the hardware, so now let's just see the software. The first things I want to show you is the lock screen, which is quite interesting. If we perform a little swipe here on the clock, we reveal the music shortcuts, which is really interesting and very, very useful. I mean, very useful when using the phone. At least if you're like me and you always listen to music with your mobile device. Then we have the classical slide to unlock, and we have the slide to enter the camera. This slide to enter the camera can be really, set up with different value. We get, for instance, decide whether to unlock into the camera and take a picture, or unlock into the camera and start recording a video, or unlock into the camera and nothing else, or just unlock and not even go into the camera. What else? Into the lock screen, if we have some kind of notification, even like a missed call or an SMS or a calendar event or a stock email, so it's not working for Gmails, just for the stock email client, we will have a small icon here. We will just have to slide from left to right to unlock directly into the dedicated app. So if we have the SMS icon here, for instance, we have to slide to unlock to get directly into the SMS application. So these are all the functionalities of this unlock screen for the Sony Xperia V. I just want to remind you that this Sony Xperia V comes to the market with ice cream sandwich version 4.0.4, but it would be upgradable to Jelly Bean, I guess, maybe this month or the next, anyway, sooner, on the Q1 of the 2013. Then what else? We have the interface, which is not that far from the classical ice cream sandwich interface. Just a few things I want to show you. For instance, if you select a new calendar event, and you select the time here. You can see this is the classical ice cream sandwich, as well as the jelly bean time selector, which is very functional and useful in my opinion. So it's a pleasure to see that Sony decided not to change this kind of selector. Sorry guys, but I'm fond with the stock interface, because starting from ice cream sandwich to jelly bean and so on, I hope it's a very functional interface, and it's very nice to be able to use it. So what else? Sony anyway did add its own personalization to this ice cream sandwich version. We have first of all is here the quick settings bar. This is a pity because we cannot decide what to insert into this quick setting bar, but nevertheless there is, so at least we have some quick settings here. Then we can get directly into the setting menu, and here we can find some other stuff added by the Sony itself. We have, for instance, here in the display menu the possibility to activate the mobile browsing engine too, which is really interesting. It's used inside the Sony Gallery and Sony Video Player just to enhance the contrast and the color saturation. Then we can decide, for instance, here in the lock screen menu, what to activate for the missed event I talked to you about a few seconds before. Missed call, new messages, new emails, calendar events, as you can see. We even have, this is another ad from Sony, these themes. We changed not only the wallpaper like you can see, but even the default color of the interface. So if we select, for instance, this sapphire here, okay, you will see that now the check here are blue and not channel like they were with the previous theme. Okay, we have moreover the power management, which is quite interesting, because we have here this kind of extended standby mode, which let us optimize battery lifetime, as it say, by disabling data traffic when the screen has been turned off for a few minutes. Well, I decided not to use these settings, because to me mobile phone must be always on. There's no sense in having a mobile phone without the possibility of receiving mails in background, for instance. So I decided not to use it. The best would be the same kind of settings into the Xperia Z, which let us even select what app continue to use the data connection while the screen is off. This is really interesting. We have some kind of whitelist where we can add the app that we want to continue connecting to the internet while the screen is off. We even add this Xperia dedicated menu with the connectivity settings, which is really interesting, not only for the installed PC companion software, so every time we connect the device to the computer it will ask us for installing the PC companion software, but for this USB connection mode settings we let us choose whether to activate the media transfer mode or mass storage mode. This is really interesting because not every kind of operating system is capable of use the media transfer mode in in a useful way. I'm thinking of, for instance, Linux or Mac OS. I mean, we can always use third-party app, but it's better to have something which is integrated into the operating system. And mass storage mode, it's really useful because you will be able to see the external micro SD card as a pen drive on your computer. So just the external micro SD card and not the internal memory. Nevertheless, it's, in my opinion, very useful. Then we have the internet settings. It's nothing but the way to download the internet settings for your mobile provider. Screen mirroring is some kind of mirrorcast where you can directly stream the screen of your device to your TV, for instance. Then we have the Usage info settings is just to send few usage data to Sony, and the Xperia with Facebook is the way to have Facebook integration inside the Xperia app. So these are the most interesting, settings for what concern the Sony personalization of the Sony Xperia V. What is really interesting that I want to show you, just to give you an idea, because there's nothing really particular here or modified by Sony. I just wanted to show you that this device can read without any kind of problem up micro SD card up to 64 GB, like this one I've inserted into this device. So these are the main personalization of this interface made by Sony. But we have a few more things really interesting in my opinion. The first one is the multimedia multitasking menu here. We can have the slide to close like we have on into the stock menu, of course. But what is really interesting are these shortcuts here, when we can select here to start this small app that goes into overlay with the screen, and you can then use them whatever other app you are using, which is really interesting. Not only for these few app here, which are maybe 5, I don't remember, let me see. We have 4. We have the calculator, we have the timer, we have note, and we have voice recording. But what is really interesting is this plus here that bring us to the Play Store and let us install even other these are called small app by Sony, and we have some small app really interesting, like this unit converter or this currency converter, for instance. So as you can see, there are even several new small apps. That's very nice. Good job, Sony, for this multitasking menu. The other thing's really interesting is that finally Sony made a real great keyboard. Yes, this one, which is really a very customizable keyboard. Just let me show you. If we get inside the select input method and we select configuration input method, we have the settings for the Xperia keyboard. We can only decide the languages, of course, the second language, whether to have a suggestion for both languages altogether, for instance. But we can even decide, something for keyboard appearance, like the keyboard layout. We have this T9 keyboard layout, we have the QWERTY keyboard layout, and we have this other extended QWERTY keyboard layout. It's just a QWERTY keyboard layout with the special charts in the second function, which is very nice. We can decide whether to have some additional keys like the full stop and comma keys or the smiley keys, for instance. And we have even some keyboard skins. This one is white on gray, then we have white on white, and we have black on black, or maybe dark gray on dark gray. So this is a very nice keyboard. So it's very customizable, and moreover does a very good job in typing, which is what cares most, of course. And not only it's very fast, but it's even able to write using swipe. So let me show you. Sorry, I'm not that fast in swiping, but here you can see. Other stuff really interesting, always regarding the keyboard and text selection, is this kind of lens that Sony added to correct the test. This is a very nice addition, not only because it's wonderful realized, but because it's wonderful implemented, but even because it's very smooth and fluid. I've seen some other implementation of this kind of correction lens on other devices, but it's not always that smooth. So maybe most of the times you end up just not using it because you're not so much precise in selecting exactly the single chart where you want to stop your cursor. With this lens, which is very fluid, you don't have this kind of problem. Moreover, if you perform a double tap, you select the word, and you can even extend your selection using this kind of rectangular lens, which is even so much well realized, so implemented. Sorry guys. So very good job from Sony, both for the keyboard and for the text editing and selection, which is a very nice addition from the previous Xperia models. So this is more or less anything dealing with the interface. Of course, we have some widget made by Sony, like this shortcut widget, which is very nice and have a very nice animation. We can even decide to add some more widgets, just have to tap on the screen. Here you can change the wallpaper or the theme, and in here you can add some other widget like this. So you can see there are some widgets like the calendar one, like the clocks, or we have the email widget. We have, what else, the notes widget. We have the recent call, screen mirroring, and timescape feed. So we have several nice widgets added by Sony, like the Track ID and the Walkman 2. So these are all the things dealing with the interface of this Sony Xperia V. Now just let's recap a few other stuff like the multimedia. I mean, I already shot a dedicated focus on the multimedia side, so if you're really interested in giving a look to the multimedia capabilities of this device, maybe it's better if you give a look to the dedicated focus. Just to have a few information, this device you know, takes wonderful macro shot, very good shot both in direct sunlight or even in very low light condition like night shot. It has quite good video recording, with a wonderful audio, which is recording at 128 kilobit per second in stereo mode, so it's really a great audio into your video. You know what really struck me the less is the HDR mode, which is not that nice as I thought, but nevertheless we can say that it has a very good, you know, shooting and video recording camera. So this is what concerns the camera. Now if we talk about the video player, it's, you know, it's like any other Android device, starting from ice cream sandwich to jelly bean. We can reproduce MKV file just in video, not in audio. We don't have any kind of problem for concern MP4, but we have for DivX and Xvid, as well as for Windows Media Video. Using a third-party player, like for instance MX Player or Dice Player, you won't have any kind of problem with reproducing even those other file format, as well as the audio into MKV file. We have a very good audio player, very nice the audio interface, but what is really nice too is the output of this audio player. The sound is great. This Xperia V has a wonderful sound equalizer, which does really emphasize the basses without, you know, changing any other frequencies. This is really important to me. So a very good job for what concerns the audio output too. Now we have to see another important things, which is the browser. I won't show you anymore the album, the movies or the Walkman interface, because you can give a look to the multimedia focus if you want. Here we have, of course, the standard interface. We have the stock browser, which is to me the best browser actually on Android, hands down, really. There's no chance for Chrome, even with the new beta. What is really annoying here is that this device is, you know, it has TIM brand, which is an Italian mobile provider, sorry, or how you want to call, but there's no way to change the starting page for your stock browser. Although I selected Google, every time I start the browser, it starts with the theme page. So you can see I selected Google, but there's no way to start this browser with Google. Okay, so let's go to Repubblica, which is an Italian newspaper which has a very heavy site. Let's select the desktop version. Of course, this stock browser does support the Flash player, and I've installed the Flash player on demand. So as you can see now, it's not it's not working, but just to show you, the browser has a wonderful browsing experience. It's really fast, it's smooth, it's very responsive, both for what concerns scrolling or for what concerns pinch to zoom. You see, it's great. We don't have neither the checkerboard or any other stuff while scrolling very fast, as you can see. Moreover, if we do activate the Flash player, we continue having a wonderful browsing experience. So maybe just, you see, very fast again, very responsive, just for a few, maybe millisecond lag and the starting of the scrolling. The first time you start, you see maybe it's a little bit late, but it's working. Normally it's working very good. We don't have that much problem in pinch to zoom, as you can see. So this is one of the best browsing experience nowadays on this, on all these devices having the Qualcomm platform. So it's very good. Now we saw the browser, so maybe it's time to sum up and see the pro and the cons. Let's start with the cons. Well, the first things I want to tell you is that the notification LED is not working. This is something that this Xperia V shares with its big brother Xperia Z. Cannot tell you. I guess it's just a software problem, because if I connect this Xperia V to the power plug, the notification LED starts working. So I'm quite sure that it's just a software issue. Nevertheless, on XDA, many members suggest to reset the device and install back everything, avoiding a backup. I didn't have time to perform such an operation, sorry guys, but I'm quite confident that Sony will release an update to solve this issue. Then the volume of the rear speaker here, it's quite high, although if you get to the maximum level, the sound gets a little bit distorted, so maybe it's not the best things to listen to music. But I don't think that many people listen to the music with the external speaker of the mobile device. Maybe it's more useful for what concern calling or stuff like this. So just remember that if you use the maximum volume, the volume is quite high and it gets a little bit distorted. Then what else? The device has, to me, a very nice design with this curve back here with the middle, which is a little bit thinner than the side of the phone, but it gets a little bit plasticky. Maybe when you hold it, seems like it's not definitely a device with the IP55 and IP57 certification. Nevertheless, it is. So this is really strange maybe, but it doesn't seem, but it is, or at least it should be, a very sturdy device. I mean, the back is very nice because it has some kind of rubber finish, which is very nice when you hold it in your hand, but it doesn't feel that that sturdy. Nevertheless, the price of this device is $499, and given the fact, if you consider all the stuff, which is LTE, IP57 and 55 certification. If you consider the 13 megapixel camera, it's more or less, you know, adequate to the performance of the device. Maybe it should have been a little bit less to me. Let's maybe the other downside of the last downside of this device is the display itself, which is, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. It's very, you know, it's very nice because you have very high pixel density. Nevertheless, you don't get that great viewing angles. So if you just get the phone like this, you will see that the viewing angles are not that great, and you have some kind of white veil on the display, which is really a pity, because the display itself is really good. It has very good contrast to be an LCD display, and you know, it's really a pleasure to read text, for instance emails, or to browse the internet using this display. Only the viewing angles are not that great to me. So now let's consider the Pro. We have, of course, as I told you, this great display with a very high resolution. It's a pleasure to know that this device has IP55 and IP57 certification. I mean, maybe you won't use this phone while into the shower, but of course it's, you know, you are a little bit safe and sound, considering that even if something gets wrong, you don't have problem because you have IP55 and IP57 certification. Given how this devices nowadays cost, it's, you know, better to have it than not. Then I want to tell you that the battery of this device lasts for a whole day without, you know, it's not that difficult to reach the end of the day finally. That's why I want to consider a Pro, because any other Sony Xperia device I could try had really, you know, more than an issue to reach the end of the day on a single charge. So this device, if you have a medium usage, will bring you to the end of the day without, you know, that many problems. Moreover, it does perfectly use USB on the go protocol, which means that I was able to connect my USB 3.0 64GB pen drive without any kind of problem directly to this device, using of course USB host cable. You can read micro SD card up to 64GB, and you can connect the device even using the mass storage protocol. Then the external SD card will be seen as a pen drive for your computer. Then the music outputs, it's very good thanks to the Sony equalization of the bass, which is great. And the LTE capability of this device is incredible. I was able to reach 88 megabit per second in download speed and almost 40 megabit per second in upload speed. So really I dream of this speed for my home connection. So I hope I didn't forget anything about this device. Once more, thanks for watching, and bye from TechnoLost.